How you doing, everybody? Welcome back to FLA Exposure, episode 188, live from Truro, Nova Scotia. Good shout out to our great sponsor up in the right corner there. You can see the Nova Scotia Spirit Company, available at all of our events. Delicious spirits made right here in Nova Scotia, and home of the Rocket, the Tropical, and a lot of different great flavors. So check them out online, novascotiaspiritcompany.com. Let's get right into it here, folks. Let me turn this music off. It's been a while since I've been doing this, and like anything, you get rusty. So I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, let's get right into it here. Super excited to chat with this guy, a guy I've been following forever in the MMA scene, a guy who's been competing for a long, long time. I was doing a little research here. He's fighting now. This is his 11th, whether he knows this or not. This is his 18th fight between amateur and pro, and this is his 11th promotion that he's fought for. So he's seen a ton of looks. He's seen a ton of experience throughout the Canadian MMA scene. Like I said, he's been a guy that I've been following, himself and his brother, and a kind of a fan. And I'm really excited to have him out here as one half of our main event here at FLA 6, taking on Jake Kelly. So without further ado, awesome, super excited. Nigel Crosswell, how are you?
Good. How's it going?
Awesome, man. Thanks again. Appreciate you taking the time to join me. I know you're a busy guy, so it's been a couple days and a couple screw ups in the making. So I appreciate you making the effort, man.
My pleasure.
Yeah, awesome. Well, this whole podcast again. Thanks for competing for it. Again, super excited to have you out here and be part of our promotion. We're a growing promotion, and like I said, I've been following you for a long time, so it's nice to see you in the cage and have you part of this event. So. But this podcast, FLA Exposure, it's about the who, the when, the why, how you got into MMA, combat sports, and again, you've been competing from a young age. Kind of tell our fans how you kind of get into this sport.
So basically, I've been competing ever since I could walk. My father, he's had a gym for as long as I can remember. So he's basically been my background in martial arts for the longest time. So I've been training in Taekwondo ever since I was a peewee, from grade like 5 to 12. Then started getting more into kickboxing and boxing as I got older. Did a lot of low competitions for a bit, and then recently now get into the whole MMA scene as it got legal in Ontario. So with
Yeah,
that getting big, that's the goal.
love it. So a ton of competition experience from traditional martial arts growing up.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And do you do a lot of other tournaments too? Like, do you still do that kind of stuff, or is it all the focus on MMA or any jiu-jitsu tournaments, wrestling tournaments, anything like that?
I'll do some jiu-jitsu tournaments here and there. Still getting into some taekwondo tournaments for the skill aspect to keep
Yep,
it fresh.
sure.
But focusing mainly on MMA, trying to get as many fights as I can. So with the whole COVID stuff kind of being over now and everything opening up, trying to get as many belts as fights under my belt as I can with being off for almost like 2 years now.
Yeah, yeah. It's that's it, man. It's been a while coming, and again, you're a very talented guy, and it's COVID impacted a lot of people like yourself coming into the professional ranks, and hopefully now with this kind of stuff all behind us, you can keep busy and stay busy and move forward. Is that your goal? Is that the kind of the plan? Get back on the horse and go as far as you can with it?
Yeah, but the goal is to string some wins together, get a belt as soon as I can, fight for as many promotions as I can, and then get to the big leagues.
Love it, love it. Did you know that this is your 11th promotion you fought for?
No, I didn't. I know I've been around. I know I've fought around at a lot of shows, so it's kind of lost track over the years.
That's impressive, man. It's super impressive. You've dealt with a lot of promoters. You've seen a lot
Yeah,
of different looks. It's super impressive, man. A ton of experience. Is there anything now coming off this 2-year layoff? Same as Jake, same as a lot of people. Anything that you kind of really worked on through the pandemic?
definitely, definitely. So it's no secret. All my losses pretty much have been from me being taken down.
Yeah,
So over the years and especially over the pandemic, that's been my focus. Haven't left the stand up because that's my strong suit. So I love to keep the fight standing. But I mean, if my opponent's ready to take to the ground, so am I, because that's not gonna be a secret anymore.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like in this sport, you have to be well rounded at some point, or sometimes you do get exploited, right? And that's the very very smart, man. I'm super excited to see you back in there and just see you kind of like again. I've watched you many times compete, but it's nice to finally kind of put a face in front of us in our cage. So I
Yeah.
appreciate it, man. Have you been on the East Coast before?
No, first time. I actually have some friends and family out there. They're gonna come and watch.
Beautiful.
So some local people coming out to support me will be nice.
Love that. Love that. It's looking like it's going to be a good crowd, and hopefully it won't be your last time out here. Like I said, it's we're more than happy to keep you busy, and maybe we can get a card where yourself and your brother are on a card if that would ever happen. I know he's fight. I think his fight just fell through. If I'm correct.
Yeah, his guy actually backed out due to concussion, I believe. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on with his opponent as well, with
Uh-oh.
him promoters saying that he dodges fights and stuff. So
Oof.
they got to deal with that, but hopefully he doesn't have to go through that.
Yeah, that's a thing, man. It's an interesting game. It's a super interesting sport that way with how difficult it is. Like people don't realize how difficult it is just to make it to the fight. Like with the training and the injuries, the medicals, of all that kind of stuff. And everybody like yourself, you're working a full-time job, probably, training and all this kind of stuff, living your real life, trying to make it, and there's a lot to it, man. So people should be commended when they can actually get to the fight and make it there.
Yeah, there's a lot of money that goes to waste on both ends, the promoter's end, the fighter's end. A lot of sacrifices made. So it sucks when it falls through for sure.
No, that's very true. Good point. I wanted to ask you about that with MMA being illegal in Ontario, amateur MMA being illegal. It looks like it's making a little bit of headway. Is that correct?
Yeah, they did have some issues not too long ago because I don't know, pro was legal, but amateur wasn't legal. So a lot of guys actually ended up turning pro here just so they could keep fighting.
Gotcha.
But now it's kind of coming back, and a lot of guys are going out to Montreal and Quebec to fight.
Mhm.
So that's kind of what's going on now. There's still a lot of issues, but hopefully it will get worked out sooner or later.
Yeah, the politics in the sport is
Yeah,
well, all sports really. It's comical, right? At some points, there's a lot that goes into it, but yeah, we won't get into that conversation. But hopefully, it works out like for the best in Ontario. That's the key, man. Amateur sport is so big. That's how people develop. Look at you, like 15 amateur fights, 16,
yeah.
15.
I've been fighting ever since I was probably like 16, 17. So yeah, it's been a while.
And like a lot of really good names, man. Like in Ontario, Quebec, like it's
Yeah, I fought Louis Jordan. One of my pretty sure my first amateur MMA fight.
Was it your first? Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Jeez, man. So what's the big thing for you outside the gym? How do you keep yourself kind of level, I guess, like, with this whole fight game?
Well, work is a big thing for me. I have my own contracting business that started up the past couple years.
Nice.
So exterior renovations and stuff. So trying to keep that going as well as stay on top of the fighting. So that is a kind of a struggle, but I make it work, make time for it. So basically work is kind of my therapy outside the gym.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
then when I get to the gym, I let out the rest of the anger and the rest of the energy that I have and do it all again the next day.
Love it, man. That's what you need, right? You need that outlet, man. Like running a business is not for the
Yeah.
faint of heart, right? It's a lot of bullshit that goes on behind the scenes, and you're probably training, then you're going home looking after other stuff after you're training, like bills or whatever you need to,
Yeah.
that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. It's yeah, it's busy, man, and I'm sure there's a lot of that right now, eh?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Lo-
Busy
lo-
season.
Good, man. Good. And you guys work all year long?
Yeah, through summer, through winter. I try to take some time off in the winter to focus more on fighting because things do slow down. But
Sure.
yeah, stay as busy as possible. That's the goal. That's the key.
Yeah, that's it. First, you get my. I grew up in a construction family. My dad, my mom and dad ran a construction company, and I didn't get very many of those skills, let me tell you. But I did work a few years with my dad, and when I worked on cruise ships for a long time, and then I moved back here when I was like, I lived in Toronto for quite a while, and then when I finally moved back when I was like 28 back, and I was like, oh, I think I'm going to take the company over. He's like, you're crazy, man. He's like, you had your opportunity, not a goddamn chance now. So
Yeah.
he was about to retire, and I still worked a couple of years with him, and he was like, you're terrible. You should have started back in the day, But it's first you get good, then you get fast. He always used to say to me, right? And
Yeah, it's like martial arts. Work, anything is like martial arts. It's a skill that you'll never really forget, but if you got to sharpen your tools, you got to stay at it, you got to practice, or else you're not going to be as good and you're not going to be as fast.
No, that's great. That's a great analogy because martial arts can be really utilized in so many different facets of life.
For
It's
sure.
absolutely crazy, man. Like I look at myself and like I think back to my 20s and when I used to just drink a lot and party and all this kind of stuff and I'm like, what if I actually found jujitsu and martial arts at a young age? And what like because I suck at competing now. Like I think I'm 42 and I'm like I want to get better at competing and really kind of focus before I get too old where I can't compete, but like it's incredible what just the whole martial art can do for you, man. It's great.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you is it something that like you eventually obviously you spoke about your father in a gym. Do you teach at all?
Yeah, I teach at a Taekwondo studio,
Nice.
Brian's Taekwondo out here in Hamilton. So I teach there with the kids class, do the adults class whenever I have time. I've taught personal training back in the day, but the teaching has slowed down because I've been focusing on myself and my own
Sure.
training.
Yeah.
But definitely, like as I get older later on in the years, definitely looking to open up a gym.
Yeah.
Like that's the goal. That's where people make a lot of money in this game.
Sure. Yeah.
Teaching, passing it on to others, having a facility.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Love it. Love it. And that's the thing. You following in his kind of footsteps. That's pretty cool too. Keep it in the family like that. House of Champions too. Like you guys got an absolute ton of great athletes up there, especially in Ontario. It's really like so many talented fighters in that area. It's quite awesome.
Yeah, we got Cal Nelson down there.
Yeah.
We got Mike Malott that comes down there every now and then. Dina Bellabita, she's down there as well. So there's a few full-time UFC fighters training out of there. A lot of good pro Muay Thai guys. A lot of other pro upcoming amateur and pro MMA fighters.
Nice.
So it's a good scene, good pool of bodies down there to keep it busy. There's also another gym out here at Niagara Top Team.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good bodies out there as well. So down here in Ontario, we have a good scene.
It really and does everyone get along? Like, is it a good community? Like, I know Niagara does like some good open mats and stuff, but is everybody pretty friendly? You can only be friendly to a point because you have to be at some point, right?
I mean, there are some beef between people from the amateur days and stuff,
Sure.
but at the end of the day, I mean, everybody kind of trains with everybody and takes it out on the mat.
Yeah, that's it's like it's a small community. It really is. Like you just kind of have to sometimes,
Yeah, and especially if you want to work with, get good work in, there's not much of it. Like in other places, there's only a few homes where everybody flocks to. So you kind of got to make do with what you have.
Yeah, where the high level like people and the high level sparring is going on. Like it's one thing to go 50% all the time, but if you really want to push yourself and not be the best in the room all the time, you need those like guys. Like it's funny. I was talking to him a lot the other day about possibly getting involved in commentary with us. So I think we might. Hopefully, we can work something out in the future. But he's the handsome Mr. Malott. We'll get him on camera, boost our ratings. So
yeah, for sure.
What'd you think of last night? Did you watch the fights at all? I know you guys. I'm not sure. I believe there was a Muay Thai event as well in Hamilton.
Out here, yeah, there was. No, I didn't see the Hamilton Muay Thai event. There's also a boxing event. United Boxing Promotions had a show, so there was a few shows out here. I was too busy watching the UFC fights, though.
Man, what'd you think of them?
Oh yeah, I only watched the main event and the girls fight. The Chinese girl. Yeah. So those, but I'm surprised that Adesanya lost.
What'd you think about the stoppage?
It was a good stoppage. He wasn't really throwing. He was gonna get stopped sooner or later. It wasn't a bad stoppage in my opinion, but he wasn't reacting and he was just taking the punches. So, I mean, if I was Pereira, I would have wanted the ref to stop the fight. And if the ref didn't stop the fight, I would have been like, I would have been pretty pissed myself.
Well, that's the thing. Like, like Izzy came out and had this thing about, let's bring Steve Mazzagatti back, and he's like, you should have let me go out on my shield or whatever. But it's like, I'm kind of torn because I look at it as like, to me, I look at you guys as like, it's safety, man. At the end of the day, like I just don't want people to like. But it's hard because people are athletes and they have the competitive edge, and it's just like,
And it is a belt. It is for the belt, and they want to, make it go as long as it can go. But at the end of the day, I mean, I could see that Adesanya was losing. So, I mean, if I could see that, I believe the ref's seen that. So
yeah, and that's it. It's a tough call for the ref. Like but I think refs do a pretty good job. Like it's a difficult. Like our last event, I thought the refs did a fantastic job, especially with amateur MMA. Like you got to stop it earlier. Sometimes it's not. Out here, the rules, I don't know what the rules were for you as an amateur, but out here, like the rules, it's basically no punching on the ground until you have 3 amateur fights. And
the amateurs, here it's weird because some shows, like I don't know if it's the New York Commission or whatever, but some shows are like that. No punching on the ground. I know I fought an amateur show where I wasn't even allowed to kick to the head.
Yeah.
So, but they mix up the rules sometimes. It's weird. I don't know exactly what it is or why, but
yeah,
it's pretty similar.
Some rules are similar, some are off a little bit. I know, like in New Brunswick, they use the ABC, that's what they use for their rules, and they're probably going to stick with it forever. So it's not bad for us, but it's important for athletes where it's laid out properly. And I always kind of wonder why they just don't take the rules instead of making this huge, big, like, and just like make a bullet point.
Yeah.
So
they make it universal.
Exactly.
So
yeah,
because a lot of provinces, a lot of states are different.
Sure, same as medicals.
Yeah.
Like it's at the end of the day, especially in Canada, like it should be like you should be able to get a medical in Ontario that's good for you to fight anywhere in Canada.
Yeah, instead of having to, you need a Quebec one, you need an Ontario one, I need one for New Brunswick.
Yeah, but again, every healthcare is different, every province is different. So I'm talking out of my ass a little bit. I'm sure I'm going to get shit for that one. it's just simplify things. I think is easier said than done, but it's necessary. Quick question for you: what's your favorite meal in general?
Has to be that good homemade chicken and rice, man.
Ooh, love it. Any sauce?
Oh yeah, for sure. Whatever my mom's homemade food. Whatever she makes, whatever good spices and secrets she puts in there, that's it.
That's a great answer. Hard to beat mama's cooking. I agree. Anything favorite food for fight camp?
Would have to be like good veggie sub, sushi, keep it light, and chicken. Chicken's like a big staple for me. Yeah,
I agree. Chicken, hard to beat good chicken, man. Advice to any young athletes such as yourself, like you've been through the ringer, man, a ton of amateur fights, you've been part of this scene for a long time. Any advice?
Man, any advice I'd give to anybody is just keep it going. Just stay on your journey. Like you're gonna have up and downs. Don't let them pull you back and make you give up, because a lot of people will go and either lose or get stolen, like a fight stolen from them, or get injured, and then they just give up. But that's not the thing to do. As long as that's your goal, stick to it and you'll reach it. Whether it's a week from now, whether it's years from now, if you stick to it, you'll get there.
Great advice, man. And I have to agree with that 100%. I think about our problems as a promotion, and we started in 2014, and here we are 8 years later, finally seeing some success.
Just don't give up. Just don't give up.
You got it, man. That's great advice.
And you gotta keep putting the work in, though. You can't just have the goal and just dream about the goal. You have to put the work in to get to the goal.
Yeah, agreed. I think having great, like that's within too, but having a great team around you and people that can push you is a great thing.
Yeah, we're humans. We're social beings.
Yeah.
So we can only do so much by ourselves and get so far by ourselves.
Yeah, very true, man. You need that push. You need that social environment around you to make you better. Speaking of that, you mentioned your father, and other people in the community, mentors, people that have kind of guided you inside and outside the sport, the gym, and kind of you sound. And I haven't met you, but I've seen you a lot, and in speaking to you today, a super respectable guy and very well spoken. I love it, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So basically my biggest like influence in the way I fight and the way I deliver myself would be my father, because I've grown up with him. He's been my teacher for as long as I can remember. Now I'm at House of Champions. I've trained at Johnston's for a long time, boxing gym, Steeltown Boxing. So I've had different coaches throughout the years as well, but he's the roots for sure. And I've always looked up to all my coaches. Corellin down at House of Champions, very smart man, very, very motivated and motivating person. So after every class, he gives a speech, so stuff like that.
Love that.
Brings you up.
From his own experience, or just in general, like to motivate?
In general, from his own experience, every class he's there telling people like, you got to stick to it. Whatever, any motivational speech that he's given, it's bringing up the whole class.
Love it. It's so important, man. You see people like him, like he's on the road, like 2 weeks ago, I think he was in Singapore, or I don't know where he was at one point, but I think it was with Dennis, wherever that fight was. And
yeah, he's very, very dedicated to his team and to his gym and to his students, for sure. All
over the place. Which a lot of coaches you don't see.
Yeah, he's flying out. He'll go to Thailand or out to Asia, and then he's back here for however long, and he's flying out to somebody else's fight. There's an amateur Muay Thai show going on, and then he has another pro show that's happening that my brother was supposed to fight on. So there's always something that's going on with him, and he's always dedicated to it. So it's good to see that, and good to have a coach that you see is so dedicated to his students. So having that to be around is something good to look up to, for sure.
Definitely, man. Definitely. I've been hearing so much about him, so that's really nice to hear that, man. He's definitely one of those guys you see in Canada who's I have a ton of respect for, and that's the thing. At the end of the day, like the way we're running this promotion, but we're just fans who are guys who are martial artists, man. Like we don't have any, like without all those kind of people, we just wouldn't be able to do this kind of stuff. So it's the respect factor is pretty high, man, for people who have come before us. Any final words? Anything, what can the fans expect, I guess, coming up next Saturday, your first trip out east?
You can just expect a good show. You can expect the good kicks, good stand-up. My opponent, I know he's going to try to bring it to the ground. So you're going to see an all-around fight, and we'll make it a main event for sure. It will be the main event.
Love it. It is the main event, your first main event, and I can guarantee you, as long as you stick with us, probably not your last, man. So I appreciate you coming on here. I appreciate you guys making the effort to come out here and be part of our promotion, and have a great rest of your week. And we will, we'll chat with you next week, man.
Alrighty. Thank you. Take it easy.
Thank you. Before you go, any sponsors, any shout outs?
Shout out to House of Champions, my gym, Crosswell Renovations. And yeah, we'll do it up out in the East Coast.
Beautiful. Love it, man. Have a good night. Thanks for taking the time, buddy. Chat soon.
All right. Appreciate it.
There you have it, folks. A long interview in the making. He's put up with me a couple different schedule changes. A wonderful guy. Super excited to have him out here. Jake Kelly, another great athlete. Both good guys, both great athletes. Tickets next week, FightLeagueAtlantic.com. Tickets going fast. We got about 10 tables left. Pay-per-view is up now on the website as well, FightLeagueAtlantic.com. Make sure you follow those instructions. If you can be anything, be kind. Peace.
Battle of New Brunswick. Oh, big head kick. Oh, the one thing